I'm Ryan Fuller. I'm a clinical psychologist with a practice in New York City. I'm going to talk a little bit about how to identify what's making you angry. So one of the critical skills to develop in anger management is self-monitoring. And oftentimes I have clients who think of this as quite kind of an annoying task because we have enough to do in our days other than sort of like keeping track of what kind of emotional experiences we're having or what triggers we're coming into contact with. But what I've found and what the research bears out is that it's a really important skill, at least for a time, to begin to carefully monitor sort of the ups and downs of your day. When are you most stressed? When are you most irritable? When do you have the best coping resources? And so the first thing in terms of identifying what's actually making you angry is to have a really good self-monitoring practice, at least for a couple of weeks. And what you may begin to see are some predictable factors, like for instance, the anger often comes late in the evenings after you've had a stressful day. Your self-regulation capacities or your willpower has kind of been tapped, you're tired, you're stressed, and you're coming into contact with someone who's then placing more demands on you, and that's somewhat predictable. The other thing that's important to do is once you kind of have an idea of the kinds of thoughts, feelings, sensations, and other emotions that might put you more likely at risk of becoming angry, you then want to identify the anger episode and do what's called a chain analysis. So this comes from something called DBT, or dialectical behavior therapy, which was really designed to treat a specific psychiatric disorder that has an anger as a very common component. And a chain analysis is simply take the moment at which you became angry and look at the behavior that occurred at that point. And then you want to actually chain backwards and look at every sort of particular incident or event that occurred before it. And you're going to base that oftentimes on this careful self-monitoring. So, for instance, where did it take place? What time was it? Who was I in the presence of? Okay, I was with my spouse. It was 8:30. I had just had a long commute prior to that. I actually missed dinner because a meeting ran late. So I was hungry. We're looking at the chain link before that. And we're backing up even further, and I realized, even the night before that, I was a little bit sleep deprived because I'd had an argument the night before that, and I'd received a letter from the IRS, before that in financial strain. Basically, we want to have careful self-monitoring, and then we want to do a chain analysis to back up and just see the links of all the factors that put us at risk for the anger episode later. That's quite important. The other piece is we know for anger, a lot of it has to do with how we evaluate the situation. And so after the anger episode occurs, it's a very good idea to go back and do a postmortem and try to see if you can understand what kind of evaluations or irrational beliefs you might have had about the person or the particular behavior or the incident. So you want to pay attention to what was I thinking at the time. I can't believe he did this to me. I was sort of shocked and surprised. He shouldn't have done that. This is a judgment. She's a terrible person and she must not love me if she's acting in that way. And really pay attention to the kinds of thoughts that might be causing the anger. So those are the steps. I would self-monitor, do a chain analysis, and then pay very close attention to the kinds of irrational beliefs or thinking at the time that might be causing the anger.